Okay. All right, here we go. This is the objectives of this next section that we're going to go through. I'm going to kind of, because we're running a little bit late, I'm kind of going to move semi-quickly, and we're going to come back to a couple things. I'm going to try to make time to be able to come back to a couple things possibly tomorrow. Objective this, we want to celebrate what your voice brings to a community or a team, okay? We want to learn the negative impact of your foundational voice and how it can impact others, okay? So we're going to talk about weapon systems and how when your voice is not healthy or it's immature, how it can actually be sometimes destructive. We want to learn how to use your voice to optimize your contribution to a team. Oh, those are the three. All right. We're going to do this tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to talk a little more, but just give yourself, sit with one person sitting next to you, see if you can, without seeing what they are, see if you can know yourself to lead yourself. That infinity loop right there, we never graduate from the school of self-awareness. That's why it's an infinity loop. Know yourself to lead yourself. That's the clue I'm going to give you. See if you could fill in the other words that go with this. So first clue is know yourself to lead yourself in the middle of the infinity loop. And then what are the other words that would go with this? We're going to come back to this tomorrow. Oh, sorry, we're in the next packet. I should have said that. Next packet. Power of your voice. Her mind's already thinking about in the future how she could use this. That's good. Anybody think they have them all? All right, right here. Remind me your name again. Jules. All right, Jules thinks she has them all. What do you got? You can be the voice if you need a voice.
Okay. So at the bottom, tendencies.
Yep.
And the dotted line is patterns.
Yep.
That lead to actions. Actions lead to consequences. And consequences lead to realities.
Perfect. Yep, our tendencies have patterns of where they show up. Those patterns have actions that are associated with them. Then there's consequences. And those consequences often create our reality, okay? And we're going to probably go into some of this again tomorrow if we have some time, because I'd like to. This is an extremely valuable tool, especially when you're in relationships with people, to help you go, okay, what's it like to be on the other side of me? Sometimes we don't actually know the consequences of our tendencies because we don't have anybody share with us and go, this is a tendency that I don't know that you have, but sometimes when you do this, the action, I don't think you even know the consequence that's having in some of the relationships in our community, and it's creating a reality for you that I don't even know if you know exists, but it's here. So it's really helpful sometimes to be able to use this in our relationships to understand. This is a scary one that I've done with my wife. I'm like, babe, what are some of the tendencies in my life that actually create a negative reality for you? And she's got a whole list if I'm willing to listen. And that makes it hard sometimes, but it's a good thing because I want to be in relationship with her well, and I want to know what are the negative tendencies that I have are creating negative reality so I can change. I may not be able to change the tendency to want to do it, but I can change my actions so that it creates a different reality for me. Okay. All right, I want you to go through this really quick. Turn to the next page. Just with somebody next to you, see if you can identify, put a circle around which of these descriptors do you think goes with which voice? Let's see here. Do we have our... See if you can figure out which one goes with which voice. All right. Let's see what do you think they rarely value the contribution they make? What do we think that is? Nurturer. That's right. Second one, they are natural team players. Nurturers. Nurturers are the relational oil in our system. They're natural team players. They are willing to even take a step back seat if they need to. They're willing to do whatever's necessary to keep the harmony and to keep the group moving so that people care for each other well. Those are our nurturers. Visioning and shaping a scalable future is always the highest priority. Pioneers. Yep. They're always in the future, visioning and shaping a scalable future. Absolutely. I was just talking to Rick a minute ago, and he was giving me his analogy of how they think about things as a team for the church. And he's like, you know, Dane, like he gets the wagon together. He gets everybody to jump in the wagon. That's kind of Dane. He's sort of that kind of guy. And he's like, I'm the scout. Like, I go out ahead. And I was like, dude, you're a pioneer. Like, he likes to go ahead and see what's coming down the path because he likes to scout. He's always thinking about the future. Where are we going? Visioning and shaping a scalable future. Always highest priority. All right. They respect the value and logic, order and systems of repeatable processes. Guardians. Those are our great guardians. They have a relentless commitment to ask the difficult questions. Also our guardians. Amazing question askers. Really, really good question askers. They are conceptual architects and love to think outside the box. Creatives. Yep. And then they often struggle to hear or engage fully with critical feedback. Connectors. Good job. You guys are getting this stuff. Awesome. All right. We're going to take, we're going to try to do this in, can I do this? I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. What I want you to do, and try to do this as quickly as possible, is I want you to gather in the groups that you are. So what I want you to do is I want all of the nurturers to find a spot. Maybe because we probably have the most nurturers, let's have our nurturers go to the back of the room. So if you're a nurturer, first voice, I want you to go to the back room. If you're a creative first voice, where's a creative that we can just have them join you? Right here. Creatives, if you could come over here. Our guardians, maybe our guardians come maybe up here with Abby, because I think Abby, your first voice guardian, right? Guardians come here with Abby. Connectors, you'll figure out a place to connect because you'll find each other. And pioneers, maybe with Ezra right here. Get in your groups and I'll describe what we're doing next. Guardians are up here, guardians over here.
Just pop a spot.
Absolutely, or you can pull a chair around, whatever you want. T-Swizzle. Oh my goodness, Brinley, my daughter, she loves to ask people, are you a Swiftie? She's so into Taylor Swift. All right. I want you to hear what you're going to be doing now. So, I want you to take 10 minutes and have a discussion with each other. And I want you to just take notes, but I want you to tell us, what does your foundational voice bring at its best? So talk about that together as mutual people that do these things. What most frustrates you about your foundational voice in sort of a meeting or when you come together as a group? And how do you think other voices view you? Okay, so have a discussion on that. Go. I'm going to bring a chair over so you guys can get in a little closer to each other and have a conversation. You guys can, yeah, you're just having a discussion. You're just having a discussion. What do you guys think about each of these things? I have to go in a wide angle because you're all nurturers and there's lots of you. All right. What are you guys coming up with? Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a pioneer. Yeah, just work through these 3 questions here.
Yeah.
Think through those together.
I just do it just to say.
One more thing really quick. As you guys are having a discussion, if you realize I'm hearing people talk and it doesn't really sound like me, then you might need to switch to a different voice group. So if you realize, like, as people are talking, you go, I don't actually know that this sounds exactly like me, then look at your second voice and go, maybe this is actually my main voice. So you can think about that. All right, keep going.
I got tied for 3.
Okay.
But I kind of was more Guardian. So
Okay.
I chose Guardian. And then Ireland kicked me out of Guardian group because she's like, this isn't you.
Oh, Ireland doesn't get to say that for you.
I guess, but then my top other 2 were Nurture and Pioneer. So I went to sit with the Nurturers. They're all like, we're quiet. And I talk too much to be them. But I'm nice. In the
That's
sense
okay.
of, like, I know, like, this is not personal enough for me. But this is like, I'm not like crazy. Like, I don't know. So I'm going to try joining that group now.
Yeah, I think my guess would be I think you might be a pioneer, and I think that you're
Not willing to admit it.
the nurture sometimes is like I don't want to be seen as somebody who like tries to take charge. But even watching you yesterday and the way you interacted, I think it's a good thing. Don't think it isn't. It's a good thing. My peoples. That's a great question. We'll talk about that. We're going to get there, but that's a good question. Well, who your nemesis voice is.
I think it's funny because their second voice.
Say what?
It's Colin and Cam's second voice.
I feel like you're not a guardian.
Is anybody here connector?
You don't like calling me. That's what I got like the second one.
Yeah. What's your guys?
I had the same as him.
Connector, creative pioneer. Nurture, guardian.
Dude, Colin, we're the same
What's your
person.
last one?
Can I just say we really get on every test that anyone
Yeah.
has ever brought, we get the exact same thing.
There you go. Well, that means you probably got it right. I think someone already took it.
I was gonna steal him.
All right, let's pull it. Everybody come back to their seats. I would like you to actually, before you do, pick one person in your group that would be willing to share some of the insights that you had. Just so you guys know, you were right. The guardian is usually the nemesis voice of the connector. But it doesn't mean that you can't be a connector guardian. There is actually a lot of connector guardians. It's just depending on the situation, they figure out where they sit in that space. I actually work with a lot of connector guardians. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I thought you wanted the pick.
Oh, now let me see.
It was sitting on the ground. There's another one right there. There's a whole bunch of them.
It is. It's a skill. Somebody just
Oh, that's so. All right, everybody back.
I should have brought mine because I have the same like what we said. I agree when you said like, oh, I gotta work on it. What's your best?
All right. So I want to hear just some of the insights that we got from each group. I am going to let the guardians especially know just really quickly, I might go just a little bit over when you would normally be let go, and I just don't panic. It's going to be okay. I'll apologize to anybody if I need to, but I just want to front load it for you so you have the expectation. We're probably going to go a little bit over time, and I know for some of you that might be like, oh, he's supposed to be done. I'm going to borrow just a couple extra minutes today. We're not going to go beyond lunch, obviously, but I just want to make sure that we can get through some of this, and then we'll finish it tomorrow. Okay, let's start with the nurturers, since nurturers typically are our quietest voice. Would there be a nurturer that'd be willing to sort of summarize a couple of things that you guys talked about around what does your foundational voice bring at its best that you came up with? Okay, yeah.
So for the first one, we talked about just intuition. I think is probably the best part about it. It's just being able to scan the whole room and read what people are feeling.
Yeah,
And
good.
how, like what people are saying and the ideas and how that affects them. Because like that's more important.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And then the second question, we kind of just talked about when people who tend to be like louder make other people feel like stupid or small, or if there's like a couple people that like overpower other people and like shut down their ideas and talk over them, or sometimes getting frustrated with yourself because you feel like you can't speak up because you still like care.
Mm-hmm. I wish I could have recorded that. That was like brilliant. A lot of the things that she said is exactly how nurturers feel in a situation. And this is why it's important for you to hear from each other, because that is how so many nurturers live in this world, right? And so, and we're going to get to weapon systems in a minute, but especially the second thing you said, nurturers are paying attention when you run somebody over. We're going to get into the weapons in a minute. They're paying attention to that because they care about the people that you're hurting. And regardless of whether they're close friends with them or not, they don't like to see somebody get hurt. And nurturers pay attention. Again, the spider at the web, they feel the vibrations of the community, and they know where people are hurting and where things are people feel off. Okay, that was excellent. Okay, creatives. Somebody willing to share? All right, perfect.
Okay, so what does our foundational voice bring at its best? We said creativity and new ideas. We're always looking ahead so we can be prepared for the worst outcomes, and also we bring unique solutions. And what most frustrates your foundational voice in a team meeting would be we're unable to present the ideas that we have in our heads. Like the words are just failing, and we're often ignored because if we can't present our ideas, we're just crazy and all that. And we are never satisfied with the outcome. And how do you think other voices view you? Probably unimportant, because we can't present our ideas. No ideas, unimportant. And when we do attempt to present our ideas, they make sense to us, but other people don't understand and just think we're like strange or crazy.
So good. So good. Again, that is exactly, this is how you kind of know as a community when you've got people in the right voice areas, because you couldn't have articulated that better. That is exactly right. And we'll talk more when we get into the web system, what happens to a creative when they get in a space where they, I don't want to jump ahead too far. Okay, our guardians. Would one of our guardians be willing to share some of the things that you guys talked about and came up with? Go for it, Abby.
So we said
Try to speak as loud as you can so that people.
my throat kind of hurts. We make hard decisions for people, and I see that we could feel like others should feel like we're shooting them down because they want to be like, especially the creatives, because they want to be creative and have all these good ideas, but we just want to be like on the budget and like reality stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
And we could come off as harsh with our ideas because of that too. And we want to be in control sometimes, but if there are others, like pioneers or the compassion people in the room too, then we will like shrink back and just watch.
Mm-hmm.
We still feel like we belong.
It's good. So good. I hope you heard all that. It's very true. Guardians genuinely, I can't emphasize this enough. Guardians genuinely do care about people. They care about team and community, but they also really care about the structure that's there, the system that's in place, and it needs to make sense. So they will fight for the team. They just fight for the team in a different way than other people are going to fight for the team. They fight for the team because there's a reason that systems and rules and processes are in place. It's to make community work, and so they fight to make sure that that structure stays there because we need it. So that's why Guardians fight so much, but they often feel like, again, they throw the wet blanket on things and they feel like, I hate always being like the prickly pear, but this is the truth. Like, this is what we need to do. Excellent. Thank you, Abby. Connectors. Anybody willing to share? All right.
So what we bring at our best is connections. Like we know what people are good at. We know what people can bring to the table. We know resources. We can just connect that and bring that together. What frustrates us the most is when people disagree with us and criticize our like ideas or like our opinions. And
Connectors, it's not even that sometimes the connector is coming on too strong. It's that they come on very passionately. And so when it's passion, everybody feels like, whoa, this is like way too personal for you. You are really going for this. And a connector, I meant to say this earlier, connectors will always sound like they're trying to sell something, but a connector will never sell you anything that they don't think you need. So they actually, and most connectors actually get kind of a little bit offended if you say, like, stop trying to sell me on it. It's like, I'm not trying to sell you. Like, I'm not trying to sell this to you. The only reason I'm saying it is because I really care about you, and I think you would really enjoy this thing. Like, they don't feel like they're always selling it, and they won't try to sell something that they don't think you need. Because they don't separate work, play, rest. They don't separate those things. Life is all one piece of saying, I want to find out what's exciting and enjoyable with life, and I want to give it to the people that really need it. That's a connector. So excellent job. All right, pioneers. Anybody willing to share what you guys came up with?
Yeah, so we think the best thing for our voice is like kind of coming at situations with like a we can win no matter what, however hard we try. Like in a healthy way, just like not letting people give up or slow down, just kind of trying to keep everybody at the same pace, so we're not slacking in any certain areas. And then what frustrates our voice the most, probably we each kind of said like the difficulty of kind of going in things really fast and rushing, like our personal desires or what we believe, and then as people start to give opinions, we just kind of shut them down since the train's already going. We don't really want to have any more ideas. We just want to get it done because we feel like there's more weight, then it'd be harder to continue, and sometimes it might just fail with whatever we're doing. And then I think other voices view us as very bossy and sometimes too idea driven personally, and just not focusing enough on like team stuff and letting other people give good ideas because we don't want to have to stop or anything.
So good, dude. I wish I would have recorded that one. That's exactly right. Because it is so true with pioneers. And it's funny you said, like, because the train's already going, so like we don't want to stop it now because the train's going. Sometimes the train hasn't even left the station yet, but in a pioneer's mind, the train's left. So the guardians, your nurturers are going, hold on a second, can we stop and just have a conversation about this? Pioneer's going, no, we've already decided where we're going. The train's moving. Get on or get off, you know? But the train hasn't actually started moving yet, but in their minds, it's already going because they're in their minds, we've decided this is the direction it needs to go. And so people that are trying to slow the process down can really frustrate pioneers sometimes because it's like, hey, you're slowing us down and we got to get this done. We got to get there. Those kind of things. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Thank you guys for participating that way. All right, I'm going to try to go through these really quick and then we'll stop until tomorrow. Every voice has a weapon system, okay? So we're going to talk through what these weapon systems are and how they show up. And this is really fascinating. And you will probably identify it. If it's your first voice, you'll be like, oh man, I have used that. And we are going to start with the pioneer, okay? What do you think the pioneer's weapon system is when you look at this? A grenade launcher. Every pioneer has a grenade launcher. And you probably, if you're a pioneer, know when you've used it. And when you are in a group setting or in a meeting or doing a team discussion or something like that, there's nothing, we all know the kind of the sound of this, but when you hear that, boom, everybody does this. Because if a pioneer feels threatened, if they feel like somebody's come after them, actually I can't remember if I've got, no, I need to get it. I don't think we have the actual, no. Pioneers, when they feel like their competency is threatened, when someone challenges their competency, when somebody is saying, hey, you haven't thought through this well, that is really frustrating for for a pioneer. And so what happens is when a pioneer feels like somebody in the room they're frustrated with them or they're angry with them, they're slowing them down, then all of a sudden they pull out their grenade launcher and it's like flesh, blood. Everybody else is going, oh my goodness, I can't believe that either happened to that person, or if it happens to you, and we all probably can think of a time in our life when we've watched a pioneer either use their grenade launcher on us, or if you are a pioneer, you definitely know when you've used it on other people and it's hurt people, or you've experienced and been in the room when it's happened to somebody else, and we all know what that feels like, and it's painful. And when a grenade launcher goes off in a community, whatever you're doing is probably done for the day. You're in a meeting, if a pioneer pulls out their grenade launcher, that meeting, the nurturers have checked out. They're like, I cannot handle this. Like this, my relational internal system is like, I can't believe that this just happened, and there's no way that I continue to start talking, and now we're gonna all right, let's move on. Nurturers are going, I can't move on. Like, do you know what just happened? There's so many people I have to care for right now. People got hurt. That's what happens when a pioneer pulls out their grenade launcher. It's a direct attack, and it's explosive, and it's usually loud. Okay, it's very direct, very challenging. That is the pioneer's weapon system. Connector's weapon system. Anybody have any idea what this is? Cyber warfare. So, when a connector feels like they are undervalued, when they feel like somebody doesn't appreciate their contribution and what they brought to the table, when they feel misunderstood, then they tend to attack. And they don't attack like a pioneer. If a pioneer attacks somebody, everybody in the room saw the grenade launcher come out. A connector doesn't do that. A connector drops, again, those little bits of poison around somebody. And all of a sudden, somebody's reputation is tarnished. Everybody is like, and often nobody knows where it came from. It's like, how come everybody doesn't like this person all of a sudden? And usually it's because a connector was at work, in their network, dropping little bits of poison about somebody that they're frustrated with, they feel like is holding up a process that hurt them because they didn't like their idea. And so all of a sudden, they kind of use that network and that influence that they have to make somebody feel like all of a sudden, everybody's against me, and I don't know what happened. Like, why is everybody all of a sudden looking at me weird? And everybody's not on my side, and that's because you probably got kind of slimed by a connector. And it's sometimes hard to attribute where it came from, but you know what? The connectors know because they feel guilty, because they know they're the ones that probably did it. And so that's often happening. If you're a connector, I know that this is me, and I hate it because I have done this to people. And I have really hurt people and hurt their reputations because I was really frustrated, didn't like where they were taking the group, and I felt like I was trying to lead the group one way and they led the group the other way, and that made me mad. And then I made sure that everybody found out something else about them that made them question their leadership, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is the connector's weapon system, cyber warfare. So we don't always see it happening, but it happens. Connectors, do you identify with that? Have you ever done that to somebody? Have any of you has anyone ever experienced a really strong connector? Because all of a sudden, people start looking at you differently, gossiping about you, thinking about you differently. Often that's the result of a connector. All right, Guardian. Guardian's weapon system. When a Guardian feels like somebody is threatening the group that they care for, the organization that they've taken responsibility of, or whatever it might be, a Guardian goes into interrogation mode. Because Guardians are very smart, they think very logically, and when they sense that somebody is incompetent and is leading the group in the wrong direction, there's nothing more frustrating than a Guardian than they know what's going on, they think about it, they know what works, there's a system in place, and then it takes some sort of connector or pioneer came in and convinced everybody and got everybody excited about doing something, and they're going, there's no way that we can do this. Or there's a system that was made and there's rules for a reason, and everybody's ignoring this right now to go have fun and do something, and it's going to affect us in a negative way down the road. And so all of a sudden, if their weapon system comes out, it's like, tsh, 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 tsh. You're in an interrogation chamber. and they are going to ask you questions, and they're going to direct them right at you, and they will make you feel stupid, and they will show how illogical you are and how what you're saying doesn't make sense, and you will feel it in the room. It's like it's like, okay, you want to get, all right, no one else is going to step up and say it, so I'm going to say it. Does that actually make sense? We don't even have the budget to get there. And they will keep asking questions, interrogation, question after question after question. And all of a sudden, and Guardians have done this to me a lot because I'm a talker and I have ideas and I get excited. And then the Guardian's like, hey, that's great, man. I'm glad that you got everybody excited about this idea. That's not going to work, and let me show you why. And then they ask me logical questions, which I can't answer because I am 2 steps ahead and haven't even thought about the actual details of it. And then they show everybody that I actually don't know what I'm talking about. I got everybody excited, and for one reason or another, and it's not going to work. So a Guardian, you'll know it when it happens to you, and you'll know it when you see them doing it. The interrogation happens, and they're asking a lot of detailed questions, logical questions, and they will show everybody that you're not logical and you're not rational, and this doesn't make sense. That is a Guardian's weapon system. All right, I'm going to talk about this quickly. Creatives are the only voice that actually has 2 voices in a creative voice. So we have creative pioneers or creative thinkers, and then we have creative feelers, creative connectors. Okay, so you're either a creative pioneer or you're a creative feeler or a creative connector. And the reason why that is some creatives are more logical in the way that they view the world and the way that they think. Some creatives are more relational, and they're a lot more social. Okay, so their values are more around people and values. Creative thinkers, creative pioneers, they're creative, but they're more rational and logical. So it's less relationship oriented, and so I don't know if this happened in the creative conversation, but you'll kind of hear sometimes there's a difference in creative. You're both creatives, but some are more logical and rational in the way they make decisions. Some make their decisions based off of people and values. Okay, a creative pioneer, a thinker, they have a sniper rifle. And when somebody gets in the way of a creative pioneer, a creative thinker, and they've got an idea, and somebody shoots down the idea right away or doesn't give them the space to actually talk about what they're thinking, and they have thought through it well. Again, remember, creatives really care about the integrity of an organization, so they do really think well about things. Logically, it makes sense, especially for a creative thinker. It's logical, it's practical, they've thought about it, this makes sense. Now, they may not have been able to articulate it the way that everybody will understand it, but for someone to dismiss their idea can be really frustrating for a creative pioneer or creative thinker. Sniper rifle comes out, pew, direct shot. Again, mostly everybody can see it. Usually it's one comment, one statement, and it is loaded. And they know that the person's passed, they know something, they bring it out, and it's like a sniper rifle, and it's like they didn't have to say anything more. It was a perfect hit. And they knew exactly the spot to hit, and they just can make people shrivel in shame, whatever it might be, because they just needed one shot, one statement. It was really well thought through. They've been thinking about because they future-oriented, they've been thinking the whole meeting, and they've already thought through what they're going to say. If this person keeps going this way, pew, shoot them, and everybody goes, oh my goodness, I can't believe she said that. Can't believe he said that. That was harsh, and that was cold and hard, and you can just see the person that got shot just like, because they hit the spot. Okay, that's a creative pioneer thinker. Creative connector or a creative feeler, rarely do you see this, but when it happens, the Hulk comes out. Okay, so this is you don't actually see this weapon system come out a lot, but if you are a creative connector, you know when you've done this. People have pushed you so much, and they've really dismissed your ideas so much, or they dismissed somebody else's ideas. Often for creative connectors, it's actually sometimes it's actually other people, and they're going, you keep attacking this one person, and you're not even listening to their perspective and what they have to say. And if they've had enough, the Hulk comes out, and it is gnarly. They're not David Banner anymore. Like, the Hulk comes out, and it is loud, and it's storming out, yelling, whatever, and they storm out of the room, and it's over. That right there is your creative connector, because they feel deeply, and their values are around, they make their decisions off of people and values. So when someone's attacking someone who they care about, people values, or they attack idea and dismiss it, and they're just dismissive, after a while, if it gets to a certain point, the Hulk comes out, and everybody knows. And it's like, I've never seen that person ever do that in my life. Like, whatever happened just now, something big happened, because that, we haven't seen the Hulk come out before. Doesn't happen a lot, but it can. That's their weapon system. All right, nurture. Now, you may look at this and go, that doesn't really look like a weapon to me. That doesn't look like a weapon system. What do you think a nurture's weapon system is? Any nurturers have an idea what your weapon system is? Very passive, but you're not a nurturer. I want to know, what do the nurturers think their weapon system is? Can you identify it? All right, that's sort of a trigger. You get better. A weapon system of a nurturer is withholding care. So a nurturer is always the one who's caring for the people in their community. Again, they're the relational oil in the machine. When a nurturer feels like, I love what you said about, you shared the nurturer. When a nurturer is tired of seeing somebody that they care about in their community getting blasted by a grenade launcher, getting shot by a sniper rifle, whatever it might be, what they will do, because they are always caring for everybody. They don't play a ton of favorites. Not that you don't have connections and friends and things like that, but nurturers really do care about the whole group, and they're always caring for people, right? So they're going to go think about you. They're the ones who are going to be like, hey, I got your birthday card. I knew your birthday was coming up. I got you an extra coffee because I was there. Nurturers are always caring, so you expect a nurturer to be caring for you. When a nurturer feels like, and they've had enough, they will start withholding their care. Things become very cold and rigid. It's like, how come I thought we were okay? And it feels like now this is contractual relationship, or you're just getting the job done, but it feels like you don't like me anymore. Nurture's not going to come out and say, yeah, I don't like you anymore. They just withhold their care, and that's their weapon system. So, my wife is a nurturer. If she is mad at me, she just gets, I know, and I can feel it. It's like, babe, what's going on? Like, I feel like you're not, it's like, you are kind of being quiet, and you're not really engaging with me. And it's like, no, I'm fine. I'm just tired. I just want to read my book. And I know that I did something that frustrated her, and her weapon system's coming out, and she's withholding care from me, and you feel it. And that's what a nurturer's weapon system is. Does that make sense to nurturers? Have you withheld care from people sometimes that you're like, I've had enough with them? They don't get the best of me anymore. They don't get the care that I usually would offer. That's exactly how they use it, okay? All right, those are our weapon systems. Tomorrow we'll go into this further. So please, tomorrow, bring these back with you in the morning. Again, the reason we're doing this is as we think through the idea of loving our neighbor as ourselves, I want you to own who you are. God made you the way you are. You each are unique. So just like when we went through Zoom yesterday, each of you interacted with each other through that whole game. And if you think about that, it would be fun to have a discussion on how your voice showed up in the Zoom game yesterday. But you probably recognize, you'll see it now more, like this is why I pulled away. This is why I was trying to get everybody moving and take command. This is why I was trying to still have fun, even though it was feeling a little stressful at times. We all have those different voices that show up. The more that you understand and recognize your voice and believe in it and love your voice, okay? So love your neighbor as yourself. If we can love who God created us to be and love the people around us, then how much more of an impact can we have when we go to love our neighbor? So when Jesus asked us to do that, and we do this as a community and pay attention to it, we actually really can love our neighbors better than we thought we could. And they will feel it, and that's how we really can have such an incredible impact in sharing the love of God with people in the world. So, all right, thank you guys. Wow, we're going to get a little wet maybe, or it'll be over in a second. This is definitely, I know it doesn't rain like it does in Portland. This would keep going for hours.